I trained him for 5 years, taught him everything I knew, introduced him to clients, let him shadow my meetings, defended him when he made mistakes. And then one day, I walked into the office and found out he'd replace me. My team was his now, my clients, my title. But here's what he didn't know. I had already made a backup of everything, and I knew exactly where his real weakness was. My name is Ethan Cole. For over a decade, I was the guy you called when everything broke. Servers down? Call Ethan. Client threatening to walk? Bring in Ethan. Merger falling apart? You already know. I wasn't flashy. I didn't care about credit. I cared about stability, results, and making sure the walls held. For years, I led our firm's enterprise account division. Fortune 500 clients. High-pressure contracts. I built the team. Hired every person. Designed the playbooks. Ran the war room when things went sideways. And then came Jared. He was young, sharp-suited, polished in a LinkedIn influencer kind of way. Management loved him because he looked like a success story. Said all the right things in meetings. Went golfing with the partners. Quoted leadership books like scripture. I liked him at first. He had potential. Asked questions. Listened. Wanted to grow. So I mentored him. Took him to client meetings. Gave him small accounts to cut his teeth. Showed him how to lead from behind. Not with ego, but with results. He called me his work dad. I laughed. I should have paid attention. Because 3 years later, I walked into our Monday pipeline meeting, and everything was off. My chair was gone. Literally. Jared was at the head of the table. My seat, running the agenda. My agenda. I stood at the door for a second, confused. Everyone avoided eye contact. My team, people I hired, people I'd coached through breakdowns and burnouts, now shifting in their seats like strangers. Jared looked up, smiled like nothing was wrong. Ethan, didn't get the updated calendar? I thought we'd agreed to rotate leadership for these. Rotate leadership? Since when? I said nothing. Just sat in the back and listened. He ran the meeting like a politician. Slick, vague, empty. Told everyone how we were simplifying strategy, streamlining roles, and reassigning legacy clients to match bandwidth to impact. Legacy clients equals mine. Bandwidth equals me. Impact equals him. By Friday, I got the formal notice. As part of our reorganization efforts, your role is being sunset. We thank you for your years of service. Sunset. No exit interview. No transfer. No warning. Just fade to black. But what Jared didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I never stopped keeping records. Every playbook, every strategy doc, every late-night client salvage plan, I wrote for him. Every private Slack message, every last-minute deck, I finished so he could leave early. Backed up, dated, time-stamped. He hadn't just stolen my team. He'd plagiarized his entire career. And I was about to take it back, piece by piece. The first thing I did was nothing. No angry emails. No confrontations. No social media meltdowns. Just silence. The kind of silence that makes people uncomfortable. The kind that lingers just long enough to make them wonder, what is he planning? I went home, sat in the chair that still carried the weight of late nights and early mornings, opened my laptop, navigated to a drive no one else knew existed, a folder labeled contingency. It wasn't a joke. It wasn't a thought experiment. It was a lifeboat I'd started building long ago. The first time I saw Jared send one of my slide decks to a client with his name in the footer. At the time, I didn't know if I'd ever need it. I just had a feeling. And in business, instinct is often the only early warning system you get. Now I needed it. Inside the folder were backups of everything. Time-stamped files, version histories, source documents, Slack conversations where Jared had asked questions he later claimed to answer alone, email threads that showed the difference between his ideas and what had actually happened. It wasn't illegal, at least not obviously, but it was unethical. And most importantly, it was provable. I didn't rage. I mapped. I spent the next 3 days reconstructing the timeline, linked emails to meetings, Matched presentation drafts with final decks. Highlighted where Jared's fingerprints were and where mine were scrubbed clean. I even compared language patterns in proposal documents. His writing versus mine. The voice was unmistakable. Then I built a spreadsheet. 2 columns. Column A, client performance under my leadership. Column B, same clients, 3 months after Jared streamlined the accounts. The results weren't catastrophic. That would have been obvious. They were worse. Mediocre, drifting, quietly decaying, like a wound you ignore until it gets infected. Clients weren't angry. Not yet, but they were uneasy. I knew these industries. I knew these people. I'd sat in their boardrooms, flown to their cities, met their teams. I'd answered 3 a.m. phone calls when their platforms went down. Jared? He knew their buzzwords, not their pain points. So I picked up the phone. Not as an employee. Just a familiar voice checking in. Most of them were polite. Some were surprised. A few were guarded. Wait, you're not with us anymore? That's surprising. Surprising was good. It meant Jared hadn't built trust. It meant my name still meant something. I kept the conversations light. Asked questions. Let them talk. Took notes, not just on what they said, but on how they said it. The hesitation. The pauses. The uncertainty hiding beneath the surface. And when they inevitably asked what I was up to now, I gave the same answer every time. Taking some time. Evaluating options. Because I wasn't trying to get my old job back. I wasn't chasing titles or salary or some desperate sense of redemption. No, I was building something new, something clean, something mine. And Jared? He was going to hand deliver the foundation of it, brick by brick, without even realizing he was doing it. 3 weeks after I was sunset, I got a call from a recruiter. Hey, Ethan, we're staffing a leadership role at a logistics tech firm. Series C, strong runway, mid-size enterprise portfolio. Your name came up 3 times. I didn't smile. Not really. But something shifted in my posture. 3 times. I asked who referred me. He gave me 3 names. All clients. All from my old roster. All now managed by Jared. Interesting. These weren't just cold leads. These were relationships. People I'd worked with through midnight deadlines, system crashes, Q4 panics. People I'd helped, not sold to, and they were still saying my name. So I took the meeting. The company was small but sharp, fast-moving, hungry in a way that makes big firms nervous. They were bleeding deals to my old company and didn't know why. But I did, because the pitch decks they kept losing to, I wrote those. The language, the frameworks, the sequencing of data to emotion. Every page built to make a CFO nod without even realizing it. And Jared? He was still using those same decks. Still coasting on my architecture. So I offered to help. No titles. No public announcement. I didn't even ask for pay. I just want to see what you're working with, I said. Quietly, strategically, within a month, they landed 2 enterprise clients, both previously Jared's. Both had ghosted him after vague follow-ups, shallow promises, and buzzwords that didn't mean anything in the trenches. The CEO of the new firm asked if I consider coming on full-time. I paused. I'm not ready for that yet. I told him, but keep me close. Because this wasn't about a job. It wasn't about getting back into the game. It was about watching from the edge of the board, while someone else made all the wrong moves. Meanwhile, I sent an anonymous email to compliance at my old company. No message, no commentary, just one attachment. A side-by-side comparison of my Q4 deck from 2 years ago and Jared's updated version recently sent to a high-value client. Same layout, same transition order. Even the same inside joke in the footnotes, the one about coffee budgets and server downtimes. It was unmistakable. It was mine, and now it was evidence. I didn't sign it, didn't follow up, didn't need to. A week later, a former co-worker in legal pinged me off the record. Jared's under internal review. Something about presentation misconduct. That was the phrase they used. Presentation misconduct. I almost laughed. It sounded like a dress code violation, not like a slow-motion career implosion. But that's how it starts. I began reaching out to former colleagues. Not the loud ones. Not the slack superstars who cheered every all-hands call. The quiet ones. The ones who stayed late. Who remembered system names from 3 years ago. Who understood that trust isn't about what you say in meetings. It's about what you do when no one's watching. I'm building something, I told them. No titles. No fake culture decks. Just a team that actually delivers. I didn't need to pitch it. They were already looking for a door. And one by one, they walked through mine. 2 months in, I had a shadow team of 7. Project managers, analysts, enterprise leads. The bones of what once made us great. Now stripped out from under Jared's glossy shell. We didn't register a company. Didn't build a website. We made a Slack group. We called it Second Build. And then we got to work. No marketing. No cold calls. Just quiet referrals from clients who missed real answers. We started consulting under the radar, filling the gaps Jared didn't even realize he was creating. The deals we touched stuck. The clients stayed. And word started to spread. Meanwhile, back at the old firm, the cracks started widening. Jared's numbers dipped, slowly at first. Then noticeably, he offered discounts, pitched bundled packages, tried to upsell clients who just wanted to feel heard. Then one day I got a text from a former client. He just offered us a deep discount to stay. Sounded nervous. What's going on? I responded with 3 words. Tell him no. Because the first strike had landed. And this was just the opening move. It started with whispers, the kind that didn't appear in meeting minutes, but changed the tone of every room. One of Jared's top clients pulled out of a multi-million-dollar renewal. No warning, no complaints, just a cold clinical email. We decided to go in another direction. Another client asked to have their account reassigned, citing alignment issues. No one knew exactly what that meant, but everyone understood what it implied. They no longer trusted the person leading the relationship. Then came the deals that didn't just fall through, they wilted. One flagged for unclear expectations. Another stalled because a deliverable was never finalized, a detail Jared had promised to personally oversee. Now, things weren't just going wrong. They were going quiet. And in business, silence is never neutral. Management started asking questions. Not in official meetings. Not yet, but in hushed sidebars. In calendar blocks marked 1:1 check-in. Jared responded the only way he knew how. He smiled more, talked faster, held emergency all-hands meetings filled with high-concept jargon and slick metaphors. He spoke about momentum realignment and pipeline recalibration like he was leading a TED Talk instead of salvaging a mess. But the numbers didn't care about buzzwords. And the board? The board had eyes. I got a message from someone in finance, an old lunch crew regular, someone who still knew how to read between budget lines. He told me the team had quietly started digging through CRM logs, looking for discrepancies, verifying timestamps, cross-referencing client feedback with internal reports. It didn't take long. A few calls Jared claimed had happened, a few proposals he said he wrote, were clearly not in his writing style. And one client interaction, an especially valuable one, had no record in the system at all. Meanwhile, Second Build was thriving. No logos, no PR firm, no launch announcement, just results. 3 of our unofficial client relationships had already converted to formal retainers. One even offered to prepay 6 months in advance, on the condition that we remained their best-kept secret. They didn't want visibility. They wanted stability. And they knew we delivered. We operated in stealth. Jared, meanwhile, couldn't stop trying to be seen. He was everywhere, posting on LinkedIn, recording bite-sized podcasts with buzzword-heavy titles like The Speed of Culture and Disrupting the Static, sitting for interviews where he explained how legacy systems kill innovation and how he was redefining leadership in the enterprise space. Then came the video. A short clip from one of his talks started circulating in our industry Slack groups. In it, Jared stood on a stage wearing a mic and a confident grin. He said, "The old guard doesn't understand modern agility. They cling to outdated systems. But innovation needs freedom." The audience chuckled politely. But what caught everyone's attention wasn't the quote. It was the screenshot behind him, a slide pulled directly from a pitch I'd written 4 years earlier. Same layout, same framework, even the same typo in the footer I'd meant to fix but never did. He hadn't just stolen my strategy. He was now publicly insulting the very foundation it stood on. I didn't respond, didn't post, didn't share. I didn't need to. Someone else did. An anonymous account on LinkedIn commented under the post, "Didn't Ethan Cole build that system you're trashing?" and attached a side-by-side image of my original slide next to Jared's. The comment got traction. Then it got reposted. Then it sparked a full thread where old clients and former employees began chiming in. Suddenly, my inbox lit up. Old clients, former colleagues, even competitors. "Are you coming back? Heard you're building something. Can we talk? We miss your leadership." And then one message that stood out from a board member. "Ethan, off the record, we need to meet." We did. Lunch. Neutral ground. No suits. No lawyers. He didn't make small talk. "What do you want?" he asked. I thought about it. Then I said, "Not revenge. Not really." He waited. "I want people who actually do the work to stop getting screwed. I want systems that reward substance, not style. And I want Jared out. Quietly. Clean. No headlines. No explosions." He nodded slowly. "You're not the only one." A week later, Jared was placed on indefinite leave pending a full audit. 2 weeks after that, a shareholder update was sent to stakeholders and department heads. We thanked Jared for his contributions and wish him well in his future endeavors. Ethan Cole will step in as interim advisor during this transition. I didn't post about it, didn't celebrate, didn't gloat, because real power doesn't scream. It listens, it watches, it waits, and when the time is right, it moves. My first day back felt surreal. Same lobby, same marble floors polished to a corporate sheen, same synthetic citrus scent pumping through the vents, same security guard who used to wave without looking up. But this time, he stood as I walked in. "Welcome back, Mr. Cole." He said it like I never left, like he'd been waiting. I nodded. No need for words. Power doesn't need to announce itself. It walks in quietly and expects the room to know. The elevator ride felt longer than usual, not because of the floors, but because I could feel the weight returning, of expectation, of memory, of unfinished business. Upstairs, the office looked the same. Modern, minimalist, overdesigned. The kind of space that made consultants nod and engineers roll their eyes. But the vibe had changed. The tension was thicker. The silence between keystrokes louder. People moved like the air was heavier. Some made eye contact as I walked past. Some didn't. A few gave me that tentative half-smile, the kind that said, "We didn't back him, but we didn't bet against him either." I didn't hold grudges. Not with them. They had survived. That was enough. Now it was time to lead again. The first order of business wasn't innovation. It wasn't process. It wasn't vision. It was clarity. So I called a meeting. Just one. No Zoom links. No distributed agenda. No passive-aggressive calendar invites with smiley faces. I stood in front of the team I once built. Only a portion remained. The rest had burned out or faded away during Jared's reign of optics and overreach. But the ones who stayed, they had history in their eyes. "I won't talk long," I said. "I just want to make 3 things clear." I held up one finger. 1, no one's job is safe, but no one's job is at risk. Confused looks. If you do your work and own your space, you're fine. If you don't expect a title on your email signature to save you. A second finger. 2, we measure results. Not hours. Not attitude. Not who talks the most in meetings. And the third. 3, if you ever lied to a client, exaggerate a deck, or take credit for work you didn't do, leave now. Because when this place burns, I'm not going down for you. There was silence. long, heavy, the kind that makes people shift in their chairs and measure their own pulse. Then someone clapped, softly, then more joined. It wasn't applause. It was relief. The kind of relief that comes when someone finally says what everyone else had been choking on for years. Outside the office, Second Build was no longer a whisper team. It had become a real entity, but not one folded into the old firm. We didn't get bought. We built around it. A new name, a new model. Where traditional org charts used to trap talent in power games, we created operating nodes, lean teams, tight scopes, autonomy by design, not by neglect. Clients didn't need to be convinced. They were already on board. Because when someone finally listens to what they actually need, they stay. Talent followed. The kind of people who don't need ping-pong tables to feel valued. I didn't offer grand speeches. No vision decks. No multi-year transformation roadmaps. I offered clarity, discipline, a culture where real work mattered more than status. Within 6 months, we doubled revenue. Not because we aimed to, but because we stopped pretending. No one was trying to be a thought leader. No one was pitching disruption. We just did the work. And Jared? He faded. The last I heard, he launched a consultancy, selling leadership mindset frameworks. I checked once, just out of curiosity. He had a podcast, 10 episodes in, no sponsors, comments turned off. I never called him, never needed to. He knows. We both do. He taught me something valuable, though I doubt he realized it. That even betrayal has a blueprint, that even ambition has patterns, and that sometimes the most dangerous person in the room is the one who already knows how it all ends and still chooses to wait, because silence isn't surrender. And stillness is strategy.